Welcome to Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, back again with another episode, y'all. Look here, Phil is still with me, and we're going to pick this episode up right where we left off. I wanted him to start to tell us how and what that day was like when his caseworker realized that he had been telling the truth about the treatment in the home, because he was telling, him and his brother were letting them know that the treatment wasn't right in the household, but they didn't believe him. And I want him to share that with you so you can get a sense of, how devastating that can be for the child as well as the caseworker when they discover that they had it wrong the whole time. Go ahead, Phil.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Well, Joe, at that time, there have been some issues now because my brother, he wasn't rebelling at home, but he was more so at school. I wasn't rebelling at school, but now I was rebelling at home because I'm 16, and I got a job, so now I don't care. I don't need your money. You don't got to buy me no clothes. You don't got to buy me no food. You can lock the refrigerator. That's on you. That just shows who you are.
You're taking care of the business.
Yeah, I'm grown. I'm getting.
How old were you?
I was 16 at this time.
Okay.
So, but the social worker, the African American social worker, the guy, he would come in. Now he's coming once a month because that's what's required at the private organization that he was coming from. And he come once a month. We begin to talk, and I tell him, like, man, these people they're not treating us right. They ain't, they come in and sit at this table and laughing, he and ha, like everything's great. But then I'm telling you, I had begun to tell him what was going on right there in front of them. Like, this guy ain't doing this. He won't take me to work, and it's 30 degrees outside. He won't buy me basketball shoes, and he won't do this. They're not showing up to anything pertaining to school functions for us, whereas parents require. I'm telling him all of these things that they're not doing. They're getting this money. I by now I done told them. I seen the check. I know how much they get. They ain't spending it on us. I work. I do this. I'm telling him everything. And he's looking at us like, and they're like, no, that's not going on. He's just being rebellious. He want to stay out all night. He wants to do this. And like,
they're giving him that story, that narrative of the bad child. It's not true.
Yeah.
Did you ever get punished when you got back home for saying those things in front of them and to the caseworker?
Well, they knew they couldn't punish me because we had an incident when one day, I had, come, hey man, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And they pay, now he knows that I know about the money the dad did. And I said, man, they're giving you all of this money. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. Why ain't you buying me and my brother some clothes? Why your kid's getting the Nintendos and he got every pair of Jordans that is ever made, and they doing, and I gotta buy my little brother some shoes. What's going on? And he said, well, this is my house. If you don't like the way it is, then you get out. I said, but you got us in your house. You tell them people you don't want us here.
That's right.
I said, you tell them that. Why I got to make the decision to get out? Well, you gonna listen to me? I said, listen, man, we need to come to an agreement because at this point I'm grown. Ain't nothing you can tell me. That's nothing right. You can tell me. So he gets all in my face, and I step to him, get in his face.
That's right.
And he's like, so what you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna react to what you do.
Yeah.
And he flinched at me. So when he flinched, I ducked and I grabbed a knife and I was about to stab him.
Right.
But then my brother screamed and was like, nah, don't do that. So I let it go. He called the police. The police come and they sent me outside and they talked to me. It was like, man, you in a nice neighborhood, and it was a white police officer. You in a nice neighborhood, and you can't be doing that. And these your foster parents, and and I'm like, man, forget all that. Let me tell you what's going on. Right. And the police look at me. It's like, so what you want to do? Do you want to stay here or you want to leave? I said, man, I play basketball. I'm good at school. I could deal with this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about that. Right. So all of that, when I began to like be bold in those meetings, they stopped wanting to have those meetings, one with all of us there. They wanted to have a meeting by themselves and then want him to have a meeting with us. So when he would get with them, they would debunk everything that we said. They would take the chain off the refrigerator before he came there. They would try to pretend like they took my little brother and bought him some clothes, but none of the clothes Like it looked like they came from Goodwill. He was mad. He put them back in the bag and threw them in the garbage because none of them had no tag on it. They wasn't brand new. And I just told him that this is what we do, what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take care of me. You leave me alone. I won't bother you. I ain't gonna deal with you, and that was the arrangement that I had from 16 on, where they just, you leave me alone. So this man the social worker didn't even believe that it had gotten that bad, and we had been telling him every meeting there was the same thing. They not feeding, they not this, to the point where I don't think he even cared to come out there anymore. He might come and just try to be cool and I'm like, man, this is not what it is. And he was like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do I want to do? I'm in school. I can't just uplift. I'm a junior in school. I'm on a basketball team, man. I can't just uplift and leave. So right. What do you mean? What do I want to do? I don't got no choice but to stay here so I can finish this out. And he was like, well, you guys can't keep getting in trouble. I was like, we're not getting in trouble. And then I let him know, here's the arrangement. They don't bother me. I don't bother them. I don't need them to feed me. I don't need them to buy me no clothes. I don't need them to do nothing. All I need is just a place to lay my head, shower, and that's it. That's the arrangement. I'll stay out of their way. They stay out of my way. And that was our arrangement from my junior year, all my junior year, and all my senior year. That was the arrangement. And from then on, it went well. It went well up until he actually came there one day and he saw that chain on that refrigerator. He saw the lock on there. The social worker saw it with his own eyes, and he broke down crying because he said, everything that y'all had been telling me, everything y'all had been telling me was the truth. What you want to do? I am so sorry. And it was a surprise visit. So when the parents came home, he was there, and he said, I should have y'all locked up right now for putting that chain on there. That's neglect. You can't do that. Take that chain off right now. What? And he's looking because he's panicking. What do we want? What should go on? And I was like, man, this is the arrangement. I'm all right. Yeah. You got to finally see what we have been telling you. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you? It's too late now. Right. I'm in it.
Yeah. So what type of work did your foster parents do? What professions were they in?
The mother was in some type of corporate profession, and she made great money. I saw her W-2. Her W-2 said $77,000. And the dad worked for an energy company, and his W-2 said $92,000. So they made great money and only had 2 kids, and we all went to public school. So they didn't really need the money for my brother and I. They didn't definitely spend it on us. So, I mean, it wasn't like we was a burden. There's so many things that you wouldn't think that the people from the South moving up would be this petty. They would complain about how much soap we used when we showered, or how long we were in the shower. You had a 10-minute span to even just be in the bathroom, or you had to get out, or they were shutting the water off. It's like, you gonna take the time out to go shut the water off? Or you could only be on the phone from till 8 o'clock at night. I'm in high school, and I could only be on the phone till 8 o'clock at night. And then I have a 10-minute limit on the phone. So I was like, I don't know what they were trying to develop in us, but it developed resentment in me towards them. And, to the point where they rarely saw me my junior and senior year, where they just did. And by now, everybody at school knows who they are. They've been over there. They've treated my friends bad. Their parents know what's going on. Their parents trying to get us to live with them, but then there's a whole other families that was trying to get us, but they knew they couldn't, because the whole process of the state is not as simple as people think. They wanted them to take classes and do all of this. By the time they got approved, I would have been graduated. And they were like, well, you could just move out. And no, not in Minnesota. You're not just leaving. If you leave, you're considered a runaway, and then you're going to go through that whole process. So it wasn't.
So tell me about You were telling me the other day about you, and as you got older, I think that you had graduated high school, you had gone to college. It was a relationship that you had gotten in where you mistreated her. You know what I'm saying? It was something you were saying the other day about the relationship that you were in, where now your first wife.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what you were telling me about.
So,
tell me about that.
Moving forward, now understand that this kid has grown up, so he's grown distorted.
Okay.
So now I done moved on. I done graduated college. I graduated high school. I played college ball.
Right.
You know, I've tasted success. I'm working at a very
Where'd you play college ball at?
in Minnesota, Hamline University. I graduated with criminal justice and sociology. So I got to. I wouldn't even say release some things. I guess I had added things on. So now my whole view of relationships is just messed up. And I met this girl who, while I was in college, and it was crazy because I was still suffering from the things in my childhood, that foster home. I mean, there was even a bit of time where I had moved with someone, this other family, after I had got kicked out of the foster home when I graduated. They kicked me out immediately. Like that, almost to that day, they never showed up to my graduation. And I lived with this other family for a period of time, and it was all fake because, I mean, that's a whole, my brothers remained there. Ironically, they began to treat him as a part of the family in spite of me. But I had moved, they took him on the vacations and took him and began to, treat him. But by now I'm headed to college. I don't need anything from them. And I lived with this family in between the summer till, and then the start of school. So now I'm in college, and college is going well. And in my senior year, I meet this woman who had come from a abusive relationship in Minnesota. She was from Minnesota, but she was in an abusive relationship, and she was a prostitute. Let me give you the term she used: call girl.
Okay.
So
what's that mean to her?
Yeah, in my mind,
Right.
I don't think this. I think this is somebody that calls, you people call and she goes and just hang out. I'm not thinking that this is just another way of being called the nice way of a prostitute.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, you a call girl, okay. So we end up hitting it off and moving really fast, and it was kind of crazy because as her boyfriend, she was still a call girl in Minnesota.
I mean, you allowed it?
And I'm allowing this.
Well, I'm not going to say it like I don't believe you should be able to tell nobody what to do. So you agreed to that.
I agreed to it. I signed up 100% to it. And I'm taking her to these calls.
What?
And like she's in there for an hour and a half or whatever. And I'm sitting in this car. But here's the thing. She had everything that I've always wanted. She had the nice car. She gave me the jewelry. She gave me the money. And I mean, it was like, in my mind, oh, I'm on my way. I'm making it. But this is supposed to be my girlfriend. So I don't know. I can't even describe it, but I just got swallowed up into it. So when I graduated college, I got a good job, but I was still dating her. And she was still a call girl. And all I could see was the money. So the distortion of a relationship is now sunken in because what I know as a husband and a wife or a boyfriend and a girlfriend looks nothing like the last 3 years of what I came from. I remember I had been around, white people with their husband, their wives there. I'm seeing how the husband treats the wife. I saw healthy relationship, and I am not in a healthy relationship.
You knew you were not
I
in a
knew
healthy
I was not in a relationship, but it was fun. It was plentiful. It was bounded. And here's the thing: I cheated on her from day one. So I had her, and I guess the fact that she was a call girl, I rationalized in my mind that it was okay for me to go and be with multiple women. So while she's doing her thing, or while she's getting ready for 5 hours, I'm out doing whatever I want.
You knew about what she was doing.
I knew about what
she
she was
didn't
doing.
know.
She did not know about what I was doing. And I because it was a nice car, and I mean, it was a really nice car, I was able to pick up women like almost instantly. And I wouldn't even say it was women. I could say they were just older girls who probably were just as traumatized as I was, so we can relate. And, I could give her, some weed and some drink, and before you know, we having sex, and then I get back to her. And if that was the routine, the whole time, while I had a great job. And then I developed these habits. I began to like smoke weed like crazy. I began to drink alcohol like crazy. I developed this arrogance about myself to where I didn't respect not even myself, let alone any authority figure. I graduated criminal justice, so I know how the law worked. I would walk around with my chest poked out. And I mean, I bought a new car, and I mean, I was so far gone from what I had just left those years before to where I'm looking completely different than what I just left. I've changed and evolved over this short period amount of time just by being with this one woman who was feeding me everything. I mean, my first gold chain came from her. My first set of rims came from her. My first diamond watch came from her. My first ring came from her.
Did you love her?
In my mind, I guess I loved what she gave me, but I didn't love her enough to keep other men from being with her. I loved the fact that
because it benefited you?
It benefited me, and she brought the money. So it kept me from having to deal with being in that foster home or being abandoned by my mom. So, I mean, again, I'm living in this mask. Now I can put on a different mask. So again, nobody can look at me and be like, oh, that's a guy who came from college. Or now they thinking that I'm really from the streets. They really believe that I'm from the streets by the way that I am and how I am with this woman. You think I'm from this. So it was crazy. I'm now living in another mask. I got this on. So if I tell people I'm from college, I got a college degree, nobody believes that because, I got all of this. I look like the drug dealer. I look like the pimp. I look like all of these things.
So you switched from the mask of the suburbanite to the thug.
To the thug. Or the hustler, or whatever you want to call it. I could fit right in with them. And I got 2 guns now.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near that type of guy to where I need to be carrying 2 guns, but
that's what the role requires.
That's what you wouldn't know that. Nobody would know that. You would think that, because he's got this chain and he's that woman, and he's got a gun, and yeah, I had a gun, but that's not what's in me. I'm still that Phillip that's still trying to figure out how my mom did this to us. So I just put on another mask, and this woman fed the mask, and that went on for over a decade. I mean, like, we were together 13 years. We built our first home together. We took our first trip out of the country together. There was a lot of firsts with this woman. So it wasn't love. It was just, she was my adventurous partner. And the whole entire 13 years, I never was faithful because I didn't believe that I needed to be faithful. Growing up in Memphis,
you never told her that you were not.
Never told her at all.
So you knew it was wrong.
Knew it was wrong.
But you never thought that you had the need, or you had to be faithful. You didn't think you had to be.
Joe, to be honest, I had justified that wrong by the fact that
she was a call girl.
She was a call girl. And in Memphis, growing up in Memphis, I had heard that if you ain't got 5 girlfriends, you ain't no pimp. I heard that all my life. So all the men in my neighborhood growing up in Memphis, they all had multiple women. So I didn't see any
wrong in that.
yeah. But going to the suburbs, I saw men with one woman who had been with, this one lady. They had.
But that was also distorted when you were in the household, the foster home, and I have to say this, because the way I hear the story, you're in the foster home of these black parents.
Yeah.
You saw what I would characterize as pure wickedness towards you and your brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until after you left, and then they accepted your brother. But then you go here to this other home, these white homes.
Yeah.
And you see a loving home, as far as you knew.
Yeah.
As far as you knew, the husband was faithful to the wife faithful to the husband. They treated the kids well. They wanted well for the kids.
Yeah.
So you get this whole distortion going on with you. And I'm not trying to make this about race, but I said that I wanted to emphasize that for this reason. Sometimes we believe that the household that we're in, if it matches the skin tone, that it's going to be the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we're going to be treated right. And that's not necessarily so in all cases, right?
Right.
It should be about the best for what the child needs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not necessarily what color the child is. Now, I get it. I do get why people say that, because you're talking about cultural aspects and things that, the child needs to know.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
But more important than the culture, we need to make sure that these kids are being put in homes with people that are going to love them
Yeah.
for who they are,
Yeah.
no matter what they look like. Because, one of the reasons I really wanted to do this show, bro, is because, we got this thing going on in Tennessee with this DCS, and all of
Yeah.
these kids are being left here and left here and all this and that. And the impact that it's going to have on them for years to come, like it has had
Yes,
on
yeah.
you, it's going to be devastating if they don't get the right kind of help. You know what I mean? But go ahead.
My advice to this DCS system in any state, spend your resources on building up the parent, because those children, 90% of, I would even say there's some anomalies where this child may have been raped and all those, definitely take them away. And but most of those children that are in the care of those other people want to be home with their parents regardless of what's going on in their home, because you can never get rid of that feeling of sitting in that window and waiting to see your mom walk through that door. You will, it's sad to say, because you expect to not have a dad. You expect that. You expect to grow up in where I'm from to not have a dad. And it was just normal to just not see a dad. So I can only speak as a child that I didn't have a yearning for my dad because I didn't know him. So those children want to be with their mom, period. I don't know if there's a father there. I don't know. I can only talk about my experiences. Each and every one of my brothers and sisters, and there was 8 of us, all wanted to be with our mom, regardless of how many weeks she disappeared. All of that went away when she walked through that door. She could come through high. It didn't. I mean, you can't take that away. And I get what the foster care system is trying to do, but you're failing. Yeah. You're failing. You're creating more gang members than anything. You're creating more drug dealers than anything. You're creating more women who are going to sell their bodies than anything. You're not creating children that are going to grow up and be upstanding citizens and going to love. No, you're going to create more hate than you guys can even imagine. And this is coming from an adult male who grew up and aged out of that foster care system. You are creating more monsters than you can ever even imagine. And they go and they have children. And all that trauma falls right on that kid.
Now tell me, and I appreciate you saying that too. Tell me, after the relationship with your first wife, that lasted, what you say, 13 years?
13 years.
Okay. You still distorted?
Still distorted.
What happened? Why did that relationship end?
Well, during that period of time, now since I have this image of and I got this mask on, I begin to sell drugs, and I began to traffic drugs, and I got caught. And as I'm incarcerated,
Okay.
I like, you know what? I gotta get back to what the Bible was saying. I gotta be a good, because one thing my mom she took us to church. I was abandoned at a church, so I knew there was a God. I knew to pray. I knew about Jesus. So I'm in this place. I'm praying. Lord, clean my house. Get me.
You specifically prayed for that.
I'm praying for him to clean my house, while I'm incarcerated. And I only had to go away 6 months. The day I get out, she tells me, I'm moving out, I'm gone. And she takes half of everything and leave me. Now, we don't know about she doesn't know about the infidelity because I haven't told her, but the lifestyle that we had created where we're having threesomes with other women, she still by now she's a stripper, and she's doing a call girl. So it's not even really a marriage. It's we just together, but we're doing whatever pleases the mind, whatever is pleasing. I'm drinking more, I'm smoking more. I remember there was one time where I tried to kill myself.
What happened with that?
It didn't even work. I took 15 hydrocodone pills and drank a fifth of Hennessy and woke up the next day as if nothing happened.
What pushed you to that point?
There was nothing I could say that going on. It was just I was tired. I was just tired. Like I knew what I was living in that wasn't right, but it was all I knew because it was all that I had created. And it was so far from where I had come from to where I just felt like, I don't know if anybody even loves me. Like I'm sitting here, I don't think my mom loved me, my brothers and sisters. I'm like, I've created this whole narrative in my head that don't nobody love me. So I tried to I figured if that was gonna do it, that was gonna do it. I
just go to sleep.
That's it. If I won't wake up, and I woke up the next day as if nothing happened. And it just, now I'm still back with this lady. And once I got out of the workhouse, she had left, and I prayed for that, but it was so painful. It was the most painful thing that I have ever experienced in my life because I didn't get the opportunity to do right. I didn't get the opportunity to redeem myself with her and treat her the way that she was supposed to be treated, or me just be the husband that I was supposed to be. I had failed, and I had never experienced failure, so to speak, in my life, because everything that I set my mind to, I had achieved it, no matter what it was. Women, money, I had gotten it. So I wanted to try to make this work, and she left, and it just destroyed me. Like it was the most painful thing that I had ever experienced in my life.
Okay, stop right there. We're going to pick it up on the next episode, right there where you just stopped. You know what I'm saying? And how that destroyed you. We're going to pick this episode up. Look here, y'all. Y'all stay tuned because this story is a compelling one. And I think that, you're going to benefit from listening to it, right? You're going to benefit from it, right? So just stay tuned to this next episode. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.